welcome to
So Help Me.
This is a show where we help the beginning sewer learn some fun sewing techniques. Today, we're going to be talking about applique.
I believe you forgot to introduce me.
And I also have my wonderful daughter with me, Libby. Say hi, Libby.
Hi, Lily.
And we are the floating heads today.
Yes, we are. We have no bodies, just arms.
Yep. So we're going to be talking about applique. Applique basically is taking one piece of base fabric and another piece of pretty fabric and applying it to your base fabric.
Could we do a non-pretty fabric?
We could do an ugly fabric if you prefer. Whatever
we should
you
do
want.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, we have one.
Okay, so that's what applique is. Very simple. But there's a lot of different processes and processes. And people have, well, there's just a lot of different ways to do applique.
Uh-oh.
So I'm not saying that the way I'm going to show you today is all inclusive. I'm just saying
Like a vacation?
it's the way I do it, and I find it the easiest way.
Miss Barb's way is the best way.
No.
I found that out after 21 years.
And here is my sample of
it's
applique.
such a lovely sample. That's a lot of light. There we go.
And you can see that the hummingbird is appliqued, the flowers are appliqued, and you can see that there's stitching over top of it as well. So you can do, this is what you can do, this kind of stuff you can do with applique.
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 We're probably, well, that's the way I've always said it. Applique. I'm sure the hard A is the American version, so.
Applique? Is it applique?
Applique.
Applique.
We're going to do applique.
It's the French version. French?
All right. So there are a lot of different stitches that you can use to do applique. And if we look over here, I've got some of your regular traditional stitches are your zigzag stitches, are these stitches right here. And these are different widths of stitches. And what I like to do is actually make a sample. So I know which width I'd like to put with which piece of fabric. Now your width really, I think, is going to depend a lot on the size of your applique piece.
So if you have a giant quilt?
If you have a very small piece.
Or are we talking about the piece that we're sewing on, not
piece
the
that we're sewing
piece
on.
altogether?
Not the piece altogether.
I'm thinking art.
That's okay.
Piece of art.
No.
Okay.
So if you have a very small piece of fabric to apply, you probably want to use the smaller one. And I've got them labeled here, so all I have to do is choose which one I want. And I always, always, always test. Now here's some other stitches that you can use. This is a traditional blanket stitch, and you can mirror image that either way. Here's another blanket stitch. This is a reinforced one. You also, this is a variegated.
What does that mean?
Well, it's not even on both sides.
Kind of like variegated thread?
Like,
is that the same thing? Are those two the same thing?
this is variegated only on one side. It's random only on one side. So this is nice for grass. This one is nice for fur. And then you have your honeycomb
Grass and
stitch
fur.
or your cross stitches. Anything that's going to cover up that edge to adhere the fabric to the piece of applique is going to be fine.
Okay.
Okay, and just test it, you know, use a stitch that you like. If your sewing machine has a zigzag stitch and you can adjust your stitch length, you can do traditional applique.
What if there's, like, you have, like, the specialty stitches that are, like, designs, like a jumping frog?
That's why I have samples of those right here.
But, like, if this was a frog, would that work?
I suppose it would. It would be more difficult to try and keep it even.
Oh, okay.
Because especially when you're turning a circle, the frog would be...
The frog would be a xylophone.
You would have a
Xylophone?
stomach ache, I'm afraid.
Is that a xylophone?
I'm not sure.
I don't think that's a xylophone. Never mind.
Okay, so those are your different kinds of stitches. Now let's look at the traditional feet that you use. I want to just show you a traditional applique foot, and I want to compare it to your. Oh, let's get the dog hair off of here. Okay.
Leah wanted to come with us.
Compare it to your. You want to hold this, Lips?
I would love to.
Hold that flat. Okay. You can see this foot if you lift it up just a smidge. No, the other way. Thank you. Right here. You see how this foot gets flat along? So it's going to be flat on the fabric right there.
Oh.
This foot has, and I'll lift this one up, this one has a nice long pass underneath there.
Oh, I get it.
See the difference?
Is that for a bigger stitch?
So
for
this
a
one-
bigger stitch?
Well, if you have thread buildup on top of your fabric.
Thread buildup. That doesn't sound good.
No, that's what an applique stitch is.
Oh, okay. That's
You
good.
want that.
Okay.
You want thread buildup at this
Oh,
point.
okay.
Then this is going to allow that thread buildup to easily pass underneath the foot. So that's your standard applique foot. Now I also have an open toe. You can put those back, honey. I have an open toe applique foot. So let's look at that one. And you can see this is clear plastic, but you can see everything is all open here. Now sometimes you don't want to use an open toe applique foot because you've got a
get toe
lot of thread of fabric play right here. But if everything's adhered down nicely,
You don't
the
get
open
toe
you don't get right, exactly. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, let's
Just trying to look out for your medical well-being.
Thank you.
I try.
All right, so now we know what feet we're supposed to use. How about tension on your sewing machine?
Tension before take up.
Yes, it is.
Take
That's
up before
threading.
take
Very
up.
good.
Tension before take up.
I taught it her well.
Yeah.
She actually remembered it.
And I sort of know my alphabet too.
All right.
It's a great day.
Okay, so tension on your machine. What you want to do is when you do regular sewing is you want to have a balanced stitch. So your top thread and your bottom thread come together in between the two pieces of fabric. On applique or a buttonhole, you don't want that. You want your top thread to get pulled all the way down to the bottom. So what you want to do is always test, but if you see bobbin thread coming up,
So this is, if this is bobbin thread, this is bad.
yes, if you see bobbin thread coming up,
But this is good if this is top thread.
you want to loosen your top tension.
I'm using visual.
Thank
Visuals.
you. Thank you so much.
Yep.
We'll just put that right
Okay.
away. Here, there we go. So you want to loosen your top tension if you see bobbin thread coming up.
Okay, so top tension you need loose, bottom tension you need tight,
No, normal.
normal. Okay, normal,
Keep
normal
your
and
bobbin
loose.
tension. Don't play with your bobbin tension.
Don't play with your bobbin tension, children.
Okay, another thing that we use in applique that is special is thread. All right, for
I
your
thought we
bobbin.
used that all the time. Don't you use thread all the time?
Yes, we do.
I'm just trying to help.
For your bobbin, you're going to use a lightweight 60 weight thread.
That sounds heavy.
Usually, you only use white or black. I usually only use white because you're never going to see your bobbin thread. So you want a nice lightweight bobbin thread. A 60 weight polyester or a 60 weight cotton will do fine for that.
What?
for
How do you
bobbin.
go? Is 60 bigger, or like if you go up to 70, is that smaller?
That is smaller
Ooh,
for weight.
so like a 10, a
10
5.
would be really,
5
really
is
big.
like yarn. Okay, okay, I get
as
it.
far as weight of thread is concerned.
Okay, I get it. I understand.
And then your top thread, and this is where we can have a lot of different kinds of thread. I prefer embroidery thread
Shiny
because
thread.
it is shiny, and you can have a lot of different kinds of embroidery thread.
That is variegated.
Variegated thread, yes. So you can do a lot of fun with your threads on the top. I would not recommend using regular sewing thread on the top. Embroidery thread is made to lay a little bit flatter, and it's made to look pretty.
Oh,
So it's
pretty.
not, your regular sewing thread is made for construction, and your stitch just isn't going to look real good.
Oh.
So go, and if you have questions about that, you can always reach me at www.stitchwoman.com. If you have any questions about that, or go to your local fabric store, they'll be able to direct you to the embroidery threads.
Hopefully.
Okay, needles. The needle that I prefer is the embroidery needle. Boy. And the embroidery needle has a little bit bigger eye. It's a little bit wider, and the groove is also a little bit wider.
Let's go to stitchwoman.com. Should we go to stitchwoman.com? I think we should.
And the point is a little bit rounded. It's not like a ball point, but it is a little bit rounded so that it kind of houses your thread and takes care of your pretty embroidery thread so it can do its job.
So it's a nice house.
It is. It's a nice house for your embroidery
Oh,
thread.
how nice.
Yes.
What a nice house. That's a very nice house.
Okay, so now we've talked about the things that we're going to use. What about our supplies? How are we going to get this piece glued to this piece?
I forgot my glue. I'm so sorry.
Well, you can use glue stick.
Oh.
That would be the cheapest way to go. Probably not the best, but you can use glue
might get
stick.
sticky in the wash machine.
I like to use the regular iron-on glues because that's just the best.
Stickies, adhesives.
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 Thank you. It's the best. It's the best way to go. There's a lot of different ones out there, and I can't really name names for you. Although if you email me, I can, but I can't now. There's high heat setting. There's medium heat setting. There's steam. There's no steam. There's paper on one side. There's paper on two sides. There's paper on no sides. So there's a lot of different ones out there.
That sounds scary.
So if you have a question about that, that's
Email
fine.
her.
Go ahead and email me.
Or
what
go to your
I'm gonna
local
be
fabric
using-
store.
Yep. What I'm going to be using today is the traditional. It's got the
Adhesive.
adhesive, and if we go to this other camera, I don't know, you might be able to see it. It's got this adhesive. This is kind of, looks like netting type stuff. There we go.
Mesh.
And then it's got the paper backing on it.
Why paper backing?
Well, because you can draw on it, and that way when you put this on your fabric, you have something to iron on. Otherwise, the glue is going to stick to your
Oh,
iron.
oh, that would be a bad thing.
Problem.
I feel like I would do that.
I have done that.
I fixed it. I broke it.
Yeah.
Come fix it.
I have done that.
Oh, good.
Okay, other things that are helpful is I like some sort of pointer so I can hold down little things and push little things along.
This one is homemade. I made this.
A little bamboo skewer is nice. And one of the things that I think is really essential with this is a Teflon pressing cloth. That nothing sticks to this stuff. And boy, when you're using iron-on adhesives, a Teflon pressing cloth is
Essential.
yeah, I think it's essential. So pick up one of those as well. Okay, so now we've talked about all of our, well, no, we missed one thing, and that is stabilizer.
Stabilizer.
You do have to have your glue to hold things in place. But when you do your stitching, if you do a really close satin stitch, applique stitch,
We have floaties.
yeah,
We're actually underwater.
you do have to have some way of preventing that stitch from mushing up your fabric. And a traditional tearaway crisp stabilizer is fine for applique. This is actually a iron-on tearaway
Oh.
stabilizer. So
So it sticks if you iron it on and it
Yeah.
tears away?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's so handy.
it is handy
Get that.
because there's no shifting.
No shifting.
And then there's the sticky
It's not
stuff
shifting.
too. You can just stick it to it. Yeah. You don't need the sound effects, but yeah, that's...
Yes, we do.
Okay, so stabilizers, and we talked about all those different things. Okay, now here's the actual process.
Processes.
Processes
Processing.
that you'd use for traditional applique. All right?
Applique.
Where are you going to get your ideas from? Well, you can get your ideas from a book. You know, here's a nice little book that has applique patterns in it. Or you can get your ideas from fabric. If say for instance, I wanted to take this flower right there, cut it out and applique it to my shirt, I can do that.
Or you can go on the internets.
Or you can go on the
Internet is a
and
very
just download
large-
something. Absolutely.
Internet is a very large resource.
Okay, so you're going to take your
Pointer?
adhesive, or your paper-backed adhesive, and you're going to iron it onto the wrong side
We're ironing
Of-
wrong.
your fabric.
Ironing.
Paper side up, glue side in between to the wrong side of it. You're going to iron that on.
Make sure you get it on the whole flower, though.
Yeah.
You missed a little bit of the flower, Miss Barb.
Okay. So then I have it adhered. I have my glue stuff and my paper adhered to the wrong side of my fabric.
Adhesive. It's an adhesive.
Thank you. Then I'm going to take my paper scissors and I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out.
Why do you have to use a paper scissors?
The paper scissors, because you don't want to use your good shears because it's paper. Okay, so now I'm
Oh.
going to take this and cut it out and I end up with something like, oops, this. All right, so I've already cut this out and I've got my adhesive and my paper on the back. Okay, then I'm going to take that paper and I'm going to just pull that paper right off.
Hey, look, it's Auntie Debbie.
Okay, then my glue is right here. So it looks like this with the glue on the back. Then I'm going to take my
Is the glue sticky?
No. Then I'm going to take my base fabric and put this where I want it on my base fabric and iron it in place.
So
And
your
it's gonna
base
stay.
fabric could be like your shirt.
Sure could.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Yep. Now another way of doing this, since you can see through the paper on this, is to, and let's see if we can get another close-up shot here. Here's my samples. Like here's like a star right here. So I could actually take this and put my paper side up and I could draw right on the paper and then adhere this to the back of my fabric, the wrong side of my fabric, cut out what I've drawn, and then do the other steps that we just did before.
So we
Okay.
can draw directly on the paper.
We can.
That's helpful. Mm-hmm. Very helpful.
Now, one other thing that I want to talk about, and that is if you want to do lettering, you can
A
just
B.
go ahead and print out your letters from your computer. That's fine. But remember, you're adhering this
To the wrong side. To the other side.
to the wrong side.
So you need to be backwards.
Exactly.
I get it.
So what I do is I print out my B, then I'll turn this over and I will go ahead and just draw the outline.
On the other
And
side.
since it is the mirror image, then I can take this and draw my B on my adhesive and I'll be able to put this to the wrong side of my fabric. And
Or
I'll
if you're
have the
really
right
good,
B.
you can do it freehand and just do a
Oh,
D.
you can. Yes, you can.
You can do a D.
Oh, yes, you can.
That turns into a B.
Yeah. Instead of Barb, it'd be Dard.
Hi, Miss Dard.
Thank you. Okay, now what you always want to do is test your stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my zigzag. I put my machine onto a zigzag. My stitch width I'm going to leave at 3.5. I just want to test that. And then
Is 3.5 a normal stitch width?
it's
Average?
it's
Default?
where's my fucking Whoops, forgot that. Okay. And you can see I want my stitch nice and close together.
thing these things can be hand operated.
Yeah, exactly. I'll cut this so that you guys can see it. If I go over here to the other camera, can you see that? There you go. See how nice and close together that is? Okay. Good. But you're going to say, how do I do outside corners? How do I do a corner? I'm going to show you that. Oh, that's a circle. Just a minute. This
is a triangle.
Here we go. Here's a corner. So I'm going to go
Is this
ahead.
not a corner? This is a corner.
Yeah, I know, but it's not the one I wanted to do.
It's not the one we wanted to do.
What I'm going to do, I'll slow it down here. I always want to end with my needle down on the outside. So I'm ending on this side.
So you want to be down and out.
Down and up. Yes, very
I
good.
got it.
Okay. Then I'm going to just go ahead and lift up my foot, pivot
On your down and out.
on my down and out, and keep going. And you're going to cover up what your satin stitch that you just did. Okay? Well, let me put this by the close-up camera so that
does
you
it
can see.
matter? Does it matter if that is on the outside?
Your needle was on the outside here when I pivoted.
Right.
So that
But
when
if you move the stitch, would it matter? Oh yeah, because you're not really sewing it on the. Okay, that was
You'll
a dumb
notice
question.
when I did my applique, my stitch doesn't go. The edge of the fabric is not in the center of the stitch. The edge of the fabric is right where my outside needle swing is. So when you do applique,
Needle swing. Ooh, that sounds dangerous.
yeah, when you do applique, you're sewing really on your applique fabric. You're not really, just your outside swing is on your base fabric. Okay, how do we do circles?
Circle. I found the circle.
Thank you.
You are Miss Darb.
Circles are basically
Round.
slow corners.
Oh.
Sometimes, if you go slow enough, you can just go ahead and pivot. Pivot your fabric a little bit. Okay, but if you get to the point where things don't look straight anymore, then you want to be on the outside again and put your foot up a little bit and pivot.
And be down and out.
And keep going again. So that's how you do circles.
Circle.
And here's a sample of that.
The
There we
circle
go.
stitch.
Okay? All right. The blanket stitch is
Are
a
we not
little
using
bit
these?
different.
Oh.
The blanket stitch, you have to be, your edging is going to be on the outside. And we're going to use number 33. And the blanket stitch, you have to watch that a little bit because it goes straight and then bites into your applique.
Ooh, that sounds painful too.
And I also want to mirror this guy.
Mirror. Uh-oh, what is
Yes.
Why would you want to mirror it? Oh, because it's supposed to go that way and you want it to go that way.
Exactly.
I understand.
Thank you. Did I mirror it wrong? I did. One moment, please. Thank you.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, here we go. We're good. We're good. There we go.
Is that supposed to be a
Faster.
little tipsy-turvy?
Okay, so your straight stitch on your blanket stitch is right on the edge of the fabric and your bite is right over.
Bite.
So here is your blanket stitch. If we look at the
Is that the stitch that you use on
Close-up.
blankets? Or
yeah,
is that
that's
just decorative?
Actually, yeah, that's a blanket stitch right here.
Okay. I can see it.
There we go. And another one you can do is just basically raw edge. You can just do a straight stitch on the edge of your fabric. That horse, where was that horse that we had, Libs?
I don't know, you took it away from me.
This horse because it had so much detail in it, would be difficult to do a satin stitch around unless it was very small. But if you did, thank you, if you did just a regular raw edge straight stitch on the edge of that, that would be much easier.
Would that look as nice?
Yeah, it actually, and since you have, you know, glue on there, it's going to hold. So there's just your sample of raw edge. It's just a straight stitch on the edge of your fabric. The last thing I want to show you is blind hem.
Are we not using the square?
No. Blind hem uses iron-on interfacing.
Iron-on interfacing.
Yes, and you're going to sew that with your iron-on interfacing, the gluey side facing the right side. You're going to sew all the way around. Once you've done that, sew all the way around, you're going to trim. Once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and cut a hole in your interfacing and turn it right side out. So all your raw edges are on the inside, and then iron it onto your applique. And you're going to use invisible thread.
Is that like invisible ink?
Yeah, this, if you look a close-up right here, this is invisible thread. It's called monofilament thread. And right there, can you, it's invisible.
It's invisible.
That's the name, invisible.
There we go.
So those are your different kinds of applique. If you have any questions, remember you can always reach me at www.stitchwoman.com. And remember,
Keep looking up.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.